Good morning, Lourdes.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Doing great today. Had a lot of things going on down here in Florida.
Yeah, how haven't actually looked at the weather report. Where are we? Catch us up.
Well, we expect that Tampa is going to get hit pretty hard, and
Mm,
the hurricane's pretty big, and it right now I think it's either a 4 or 5, but they're hoping that by the time it hits us, it'll be a 3. And so, but it's going to hit like the whole state's going to experience something.
mm,
Orlando might get tornadoes. We'll get flooding down in South Florida, and but the northern part of the state, the northwest, is going to be hit with a big impact. So a lot of prayers for
wow.
those people who are going to be facing a very challenging situation,
Yeah, yeah.
especially those that lose their home. That's very
Well,
frightening.
let's hope for the best. Let's
Yeah,
hope for a lower category when it hits the land, right?
right.
So,
Yeah, that's the best that we can hope for. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, how about you? How's everything?
Fine, fine. I also had a busy morning, dental appointment, so but routine, routine
Routine.
stuff.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's get started with today's topic, right? A stable sense of self-worth, why it's important, and what you'll gain when you have a sense of of a self-worth, of a stable self-worth, not something that fluctuates too much, as some people, it oscillates too much for some people. To have it stable would be a significant impact on your life when it happens, and why it's important, right?
Yeah, yeah, and this is so important. I'm so happy that we're talking about this because this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And if you are one of those people that is struggling with your sense of self-worth, then please know that this is something that you can build upon. This is something that you can change and improve to get yourself on solid ground with regards to being able to have that sense of enoughness,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have to prove yourself to others or you know bend at other people's wills or take other people's opinions like to heart or value them over your own, right?
Right. And really it's again, it's a shift in our core beliefs that is allows us the freedom that we're looking for, to have the emotional stability that is most desirable and would lead to a better outlook in life and more fulfillment and greater happiness when you gain that freedom. And for those of you that don't think that it's possible for you to change, believe me, it is possible for any one of us to change. As long as we're living, we can change our perspectives and our choices, our values, our beliefs. We are not a mold that is made and then is not something that can be um, molded. We're not a solid mold that is concrete. We are, eternally changing because life changes and impacts us. And you know this from your life experiences. You have shifted before? It can continue, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's growth, it's expansion, and you know if this is something that you want for yourself that you feel is lacking, there is a path forward to increase your level of self-worth, value, self-respect, self-regard, and a sense of that that you are enough.
Right.
And yeah, this is this is work that I really care about. It's something that I struggled with myself. And that's part of the reason why I do the work that I do, is to help other people, shrink their suffering and get past these hurdles and these obstacles. So yeah, let's get started.
Let's get started. All right. So it's important. And alternatively, if you don't establish a sense of self-worth, then you do rely a lot on external validation and social roles or other people's opinions. And it does lead to a lot of anxiety and dissatisfaction. And it's very unstable. It's the instability of every day not knowing and waiting for somebody else to validate you instead of waking up and knowing that you are of value. So every day is almost like a mini battle every single day of, am I worth it today or am I not worth it today? So that's why I say that pendulum, oscillates and in some cases too much for you to be happy. And so let me just put the next.
Yeah. And, I equate it to being like a leaf in the wind, getting blown about left and right and, just which way the wind is going to take you, as opposed to being a sturdy oak and being able to be strong and resilient and, withstand the challenges that make up our life.
Right.
There will be challenges.
That's right. That's right. And let's start with the first slide, right? What you'll notice in changing your life when you have a stable sense of your self-worth. And it's an increase in your self-confidence, where you're, again, no longer seeking validation from other people. You trust your own decisions. You value yourself. You trust yourself. You basically have comfort in your own skin. So you feel at ease with who you are. You embrace your uniqueness, and you're okay with your weaknesses, and you're okay with the strengths that you have. You're able to leverage your strengths and to acknowledge your weaknesses without diminishing yourself.
Right. I love that, because so often when this is lacking, I think people they fall into a trap of feeling like they are the worst part of themselves, or that, they are their weakness. Like that's like the biggest part of themselves, and they minimize their strengths. And so that's an important part of it. And then, of course, this leads into better relationships, right? With your boundaries and less neediness, you feel more secure, and that will play out in your relationships. They'll become healthier based on mutual respect rather than dependence. And you'll be able to set those healthy boundaries, personal boundaries, understanding the importance of self-care, when to say no, what to say no to, because when we say yes to too many things, we're ultimately saying no to other things. And so it's being able to, prioritize and live your values, live what's most important to you, as opposed to, just, again, bending to other people's wishes and desires, because you feel like you need that in order for them to like you. Right.
And that leads into that emotional stability. I mean, you're no longer waiting for somebody else to give you the stability that you're no longer seeking for outside validation to allow you to feel comfortable in your own skin. You can handle criticism. You can handle rejection. You understand that this is just feedback. This is not, it might even be delivered as judgment, but you no longer see it as judgment. You look at it as feedback, and you say, this is good. This is not good. This is valid. This is not valid. And you no longer, it's no longer slings and you're in arrows. It's more like, oh, okay, so this is just information. It's data. And I'm going to apply this and not apply that. And so with that, you are calmer. You know that you're not being defined by other people. You really look at it as a chance to improve rather than, again, diminishing your self-esteem.
Yeah. And also, this idea, getting to this idea and point where you can receive feedback or criticism and say, okay, well, that is this person's opinion. That is this person's, judgment, or, this was what they think.
Right. And it may be valid. It may be valid for them based on their own perceptions and experiences. It may be valid for them. Doesn't necessarily mean it's value. It's valid for you.
Right. Because we get to choose.
Right.
You can give me your best judgment, your evaluation, your opinion, but then it's up to me to say, all right, I'm going to go with what I'm going to really take in what Maria said and make that part of my guidance. Or I can say, that may have worked for her, but I disagree.
Right. It doesn't resonate with me. It's not my truth. Absolutely. 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 But I have such great ideas.
You do. Moving on. Clarity and purpose. By aligning with your core values, you'll feel a stronger sense of direction and meaning in your life, and making decisions that support your growth and your fulfillment. And so when you have confidence in your abilities, then you can trust your skills and your capabilities, and challenges don't intimidate you.
Mm-hmm.
I have come to a place where challenges occur, right? But it's like, this is an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity for growth, for expansion, for me to learn something. What is this here to teach me? How am I going to grow from this?
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for growth.
Right. I think it was Seneca who said the obstacle is the way. Definitely. Okay. So the freedom from comparison. And that's a big one because you're like, okay, you're able to say, hey, that's their opinion. That's that's based on their perspective and their perceptions. And that's great. That works for them, but that's not who I am. And that's fine. I don't have to compare myself to the other person. And we can still say, hey, that person has achieved certain things that I also am looking to achieve. And you can say, okay, I want this. I don't want that. But you don't have to compare, oh, this is where I am right now. I'm older than that person. I'll never get there. And I'm younger than that person. And I don't know how I could possibly find that path. No, it's more like, okay, so that's the information that's available. I mean, it's no longer subjective where it's like, oh, it's all about me. No, you can objectify and say, okay, so what is the creation of this path? I don't have to compare myself with that other person and their abilities and my abilities. This is the path, and this is what I'm going to do. And you're honest with yourself about your strengths and your shortcomings, and you're open to change if it's needed.
Yeah. And when I think of freedom from comparisons, I automatically think of like social media and, just comparing our lives to other people's lives, to the very best parts of other people's lives. And that is just, it's not worth your time. It's not worth my time.
Right.
We don't know the full story. We never know the full story, and we don't know what that person had to go through to get to the position that they're in, achieve what they've achieved, and also, what sacrifices they've had to make. So It's like, just don't compare yourself to others. Be inspired, right? They achieved that. If they achieved that, I can achieve that. Keep going, follow your own journey and path, and create the life that you want, not based on the shoulds or what other people have. right?
Right. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. And then moving on to inner peace. Oh, by embracing the independence and self acceptance, you'll cultivate a deep sense of inner calm that's no longer driven by the external circumstances or people's opinions. And with this comes a sense of self-respect that you're able to treat yourself with kindness and respect, and kind of let go of the negative self-talk and the self-criticism that really just diminishes us. When we're able to do that, I mean, that's true freedom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also, let me just add the next slide, because and I love this picture. That's I love me, because your focus is empowering yourself, right? All of these add value to your authenticity, right? And when you're empowered with your decision making, you'll make choices based on your true desires, not out of the fear of judgment, not out of the criticism, the fear of failure. You're leading to you're leading a life that's more authentic, and you're having more fulfilling experiences because you're present. Your awareness increases when you are looking to yourself as the center of your universe, your personal universe, as opposed to looking for someone else to come in and rule your universe, because that's what you're basically doing when you're allowing others to make decisions for you, and you're not following your North Star, right? And so this allows you to become more assertive in your decisions, because as you continue to have wins, you continue to have more faith in yourself, and you have more strength in your trust of yourself and faith in yourself. And so you start to express your thoughts, your needs and desires with more confidence, and you also have more respect for others, and you also are able to integrate more boundaries.
Yeah. And I love what you said. And I think what I'd like to add is this development of inner wisdom, right?
Right.
The more we make our own decisions, trust our gut, trust our instincts, sure, we're going to evaluate, we're going to take in the information, and we're going to make a decision based on the knowledge, but it's also that inner guidance that needs to be strengthened and developed. That inner wisdom. I think it's important. I think it's important to develop that inner wisdom, that inner GPS, right?
Right.
I think that's what Oprah used to call it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's very significant that, as part of our growing up and trying to survive our childhood, we have these coping mechanisms, these defense mechanisms that we use in order to survive our childhood, because we're afraid of, basically being thrown out of the tribe. And so we disown and betray ourselves at many different crossroads in that growing up. And so that inner wisdom, that inner trust is fractured. And so when you work on yourself and you begin to cultivate that inner trust, it's tremendous, because you're gaining your own inner wisdom, as you said. It's significant, because we do betray ourselves as we grow up, because I'm going to do whatever makes you happy, mom, dad, older siblings, grandma, whoever is influential. And sometimes it doesn't coincide with what I want, or I believe, or how I feel, especially when a parent lies and you know that they're lying, and you go along with it because that's what you need in order to survive. And so those little betrayals that we have, we're healing them in this process.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It reminds me of like the difference between fitting in and being accepted for who you are, right? And so there's a lot of fitting in that we sometimes have to do in order to, like you said,
not get
be
kicked out.
safe, be safe and remain in
Right.
the tribe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
So going on to higher emotional intelligence, as you practice self-awareness and mindfulness, you'll become more attuned to your emotions and those of others, enhancing your ability to navigate complex social situations. And this also leads to a more positive outlook. You know, you can maintain a sense of optimism in your perspectives, even in challenging situations, and view setbacks as opportunities for growth, like I said before.
I like that. What I would add with that higher emotional intelligence, which I find is so impactful, is that when you reach a little bit higher, as you are on the journey of higher intelligence or higher emotional intelligence, you no longer feel threatened. You allow people to express themselves from their level of awareness without any animosity or judgment of them. And to hold space for somebody for where they are and understand, you know, that it's okay that we don't believe the same things. We're not on the same page. There's that you have only love for them and understanding for them, and that you hold a space with no ill will. That's a great emotional intelligence, to just be with somebody and say, okay, so we don't agree, but I don't have to slam them down. I don't have to be right. I don't have to insert myself in their level of awareness. I can be gentle and kind and respectful of where they are.
Yeah. And that is key for all of our relationships, right?
Right.
Being able to accept people where they are.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
maintain, you know, respect for self and others.
Right. Yes. That's it. That's it. So less people pleasing, and that's the whole thing. You know, you're when you get that emotional intelligence, you're like, okay, so that's where they are. I don't have to join them. I don't have to force myself to, you know, to make them feel okay. I can prioritize my own needs, my own desires. I can reduce that compulsion to try to please them. You know, I'm okay with where they are, and I can maintain where I am.
Yeah. And initially, you know, that this may bring up some discomfort, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Because especially if we're used to going into people pleasing mode and just making sure that everyone is okay and comfortable, and, you know, but when we step back, there might be some discomfort because we're stepping out of our script, right?
Right.
Of our scripted behavior. So
Right.
that's just something that I wanted to point out and make people aware of.
Right.
And then go ahead.
So what I was going to add to that is that, you know, if you are somebody that practices a lot of people pleasing, then you have to understand that what you're basically trying to accomplish is that you want them to accept you. You're asking them to validate you. It's not just that you want them to be okay, it's that you want them to be okay with you. And so you have to be okay with yourself first, because what does it matter if they say, oh, you're amazing, you're tremendous, you're la-di-da-di-da-di-da, whatever, you know, if you don't think any of those things, it doesn't fill you. It's a temporary thing. It's not the real work is accepting yourself, not looking for them to validate you. It's you needing to validate yourself, which is again why we're talking about self-worth.
Right. And, also the flip side with regards to people pleasing is that some people will express their displeasure very openly, very loudly, with a lot of gestures and fanfare, throwing a tantrum, if you will.
Right.
And that's uncomfortable. But it's like, getting to a place where it's like, well, that's unfortunate. I'm still not going to bend to their will.
Right.
And being okay with, all right, well, it might take some time for them to get over it, but I am going to stick with my truth and not acquiesce, not do the people pleasing behavior. So, yeah,
that's true. That's true.
And then we've got greater fulfillment, shifting to a power-based mindset, allowing us to live in alignment with our true self, leading to long-term satisfaction and personal growth. When we can let go of these behaviors that don't serve us and live in our truth and accept ourselves and accept our worthiness and our value, then it's a nicer ride.
It definitely is a nicer ride. I think that when you're more present to yourself and you have greater value for yourself, there's so much more gratitude as well. There's so much more in the positive than you realize that you've been missing all this time. And as you gain greater self-worth, you can really appreciate where you are, and your journey changes because of your new vision, your internal vision being opened.
Fabulous. Excellent. Well, I think we can end it there. I hope that this has been a helpful conversation to anyone watching. And as always, if anyone listening needs support, please reach out. We're here to help.
Thank you, Lourdes. And I will see you on Thursday for our Q&A.
Absolutely.